Our next presenter we have is an honor and pleasure. It's Lorenzo Walton, and Lorenzo is the forest silviculturist on the Ozark-St. Francis Mountain or National Forest, which covers 1.2, I'll say this again, 1.2 million acres across central and north Arkansas, with a small portion covering eastern Arkansas. In that role, he oversees the vegetation management program, of which includes reforestation, forest stand improvement, forest health monitoring, and the integration of silvicultures with the program's areas such as wildlife and fire. Lorenzo is a native of Marianna, Arkansas, and he has worked for the Forest Service for over 15 years in positions in Virginia, Alabama, and Mississippi, and made his return back home to work in Arkansas in 2021. And I'd like y'all to give a good welcome to Mr. Lorenzo Walton.
All right, quick mic check. Is that low? Is that loud? Is that perfect? Okay. Mason said it's perfect. My 8-year-old son at the back. Side note, this is the first time in my career that I have brought my kids to a conference with me. It's been good so far though, but I'm gonna make this quick. and another side note, I told my wife not to stay in here for my presentation because she still makes me nervous after 2 years of marriage. But and then the last side note, 2 years of marriage, she never listened to me, so she's here. She's here. I think it was a really great idea to have the kid activities. Because my whole career, I've been working for the Forest Service for 15 years, right? My whole career has been in silviculture, which is, when I explain it to the kids, I say I'm a tree doctor. I try to make it sound fancy. But I'm really just a tree nerd, and I write management prescriptions. And I tell a kid, if you're sick, you go to the doctor to get a prescription to get you to feel better. So I inventory the woods, and I figure out how to improve the woods. And I actually write a prescription on how to make it better. So that's my metaphor for that. But and I'm gonna steal something from Dr. Melissa with the Cherokee Nation presentation. She said, if you want to get to the Chinquapin, you got to get some steps in. So I'm thinking about restoration. I'm gonna get to my presentation in a minute. Thinking about restoration, it's like, okay, I plant a tree now. I got to really be patient in my mind and know that I might not see the end result of that restoration step. You know, it might be 50 years later, decades, even further later before that tree is mature. But the kids, like, I may not be able to step up into the Mountain Magazine National Forest and hike out and find these Chinquapins on top of a mountain, but my kids should be able to. So we restore these areas for climate change, for habitat management, for, you know, wildlife habitat, but selfishly we restore them for the next generation, so the kids can appreciate the same things that we appreciated, if that makes sense. All right, here we go. I wanted to steal one from John too, the little kid from Cherokee Nation, where he said the main thing he liked at that camp was he liked to plant trees. So when I tell kids why I become a silviculture, that's my favorite hobby, is planting trees. So there we go. Alright, so Ozark-St. Francis National Forest, and I'm noticing a lot of folks are actually not from Arkansas, or even if you are from Arkansas, you may not be familiar with how the forest system works in Arkansas. So just a brief lesson here. We are here, right where you see the word Paris at, somewhere on the top of that mountain. All around that is Forest Service land, Magazine Ranger District. Everything north of I-40 is the Ozark-St. Francis National Forest, including this piece, Magazine Ranger District. And this little bitty piece over here in Marianna, Arkansas, called St. Francis National Forest. That's why they call it the Ozark-St. Francis National Forest. That's actually where I'm from, so it's small in size, but don't talk bad about it, okay? Everything else right here is the Ouachita National Forest. That's a whole nother 1.8 million. So in Arkansas alone, we have 3 million of national forest acres. So we can really do some damage in a good way. We can do some positive impact. And with Ozark-Chinquapin Foundation, in restoring Chinquapin, we could really do some damage in a good way across these 3 million acres. So right now, for us, on that 1.2 million acres, that's 60 to 70% hardwood, and that's primarily oak in the current condition. oak, some hickory, quite a bit of hickory actually too. And then we're 30 to 40% shortleaf pine, a little bit of loblolly pine, but for us it's off-site up that north. Both major species have their own separate region-wide restoration initiative programs. So they get a lot of attention, right? Shortleaf initiative, white oak initiative, they're actually trying to sign some stuff in Washington, D.C. right now about the white oak initiative program. But neither of those, I like both, but I'm not throwing salt on them right now. So neither are rare though in their occurrence. There's actually plenty of them, right? And the only reason why we're doing these initiatives is because it's less than what would naturally have occurred, and because their population did decline some, and because of white oak, their natural regeneration has declined. But there's plenty of it, and the only thing that's stopping it from is just management. But what's sweet about the Ozark-Chinquapin is that what's the challenge that enticed me about the Ozark-Chinquapin is not just management, it's the disease also. So it kind of helps me go back to feeling like a doctor again. I'm a fake it till I make it. So if I can say I'm a doctor, and with Leslie's research with all the genetics, is I can dive into her genetic studies and really feel like, okay, I'm a geneticist for a day, you know. So I think that's the cool part about trying to save the species and restore the species. It doesn't get enough, it will, because of the work you guys are doing, get more nationwide attention, but I feel like it's still the underdog in this whole restoration story. A lot of our rare species are the underdogs, and that's why I cling to them more, because I know the shortleaf and the oak stuff is going to get done. But from a federal standpoint, when I see how much public emphasis is already attached to the Ozark-Chinquapin, it makes me want to dive into that, because I know it relates more to the public. So this presentation is about ground-up restoration initiatives, rare species, and communities. I put some example pictures on there because I'm going to give you a quiz on what they are. You better know one of them on there if you're in this meeting. Of course, Chinquapin, and then this to the top right, that's a rare community that we also restore, our glade community, glade restoration. To the middle, that's the trick one right there. Maple leaf oak occupies some of the same habitat as the Ozark-Chinquapin, very rough, hard to grow sites. But these rare species they get the back seat sometimes to the bigger shortleaf and the oak. So when the Ozark-Chinquapin Foundation came with these ideas, I'm on board instantly. Mainly because, I have to shout out Clark Reams in the building. He's the retired district ranger from the magazine Ranger District. When I first got here in 2021, he initially introduced me to Steve and Leslie and the Ozark-Chinquapin Foundation, and we kind of been plugging away ever since. So the leadership support has been there, and even further because the Ozark-Chinquapin tree is listed as a regional forest sensitive species. So the regional forester all the way in our Atlanta office already has this on his list of species. So when we tell him, hey, we want to restore the species, then he better have some buy-in, because he better have known what's on his species list. You know. So a lot of these points we're just talking about what makes this process so easy for us. So I want to just really shout out Ozark-Chinquapin Foundation, because they're already so established. They already got their goals. They already got some strategies that they're coming to us with. Sometimes in federal agencies, state agencies, we do these partnerships and they look good on paper, but Ozark-Chinquapin is like boots on the ground, really doing this work, you know, so it's easy for us to try to make that happen, to make it work together. In comes the how. How do we do it? How do we make it happen? So in 2021, when I got here, really shortly after I got here, a couple months after I got here, we established an MOU, Memory of Understanding, but that's not it, it's Memorandum of Understanding. It's kind of like an agreement where we formally recognize this partnership, this collaboration that we have with the Ozark-Chinquapin Foundation. I'm still from Cherokee Nation again. Ryan said something about learning from each other. Not coming like you know it all, as us being the Forest Service, being the one with the big budget, the big land base, trying to learn from our partners. So we're learning from each other. They're learning how we do management, they're learning about our red tape, we call it, paperwork, and how sometimes it takes a little longer to get NEPA and stuff like that done. So we're learning from each other. But that MOU established some goals for each one of us to share, to take part of. You know, the Ozark-Chinquapin Foundation, they play on their strengths. They do the genetics, they supply the seed, they recommend a management strategy to us because we haven't really been managing for the species. Yet Steve and Leslie already have been looking at it on the state parks, on the Forest Service, on the private lands. So we're taking all these ideas and we're trying to make recommendations for stuff that we could do more of or do better of from the Forest Service standpoint. And then 2022, we got boots on the ground. We got our leadership out of the SO, Clark Green included, our ecosystem staff officer, our forest biologist, myself, Daniel in the back, who's been tremendous in this effort, and then the Ozark-St Foundation, and we looked at all these different sites. Going back to what I talked about, inventory in the woods, figuring out what kind of prescriptions to write for them. So we left that with 4 key areas to target for Map Magazine National Forest. And then, try to make sure, so at one point, leadership buy-in is just crucial in this whole part of it, not just the district already had to buy in with Clark and with the district staff, with the technicians. They was always willing to go out and help check. Tori just did helped check some DNA stuff 3 weeks ago. But getting that from the supervisor's office, from our forest supervisor, all the way up to not just the regional forester, but the regional geneticist in our Atlanta office who wants to say so in this, but he was super excited about it instantly and wanted to create space at our seed orchard at Mount Ida on the Watchtower to be able to plant some of those trees in the future there as well, not just on the forest, but in a controlled setting on the orchard. And after that, we created the restoration plan, and that's all Steve and Leslie, and we just collaborate on ideas and figure out if we can improve it somewhere, or if some of the language doesn't flow with Forest Service language, but they come with the ideas, and we come and we meet them with our ideas, and meet them with some areas that we could really do some good active management in, real good boots on the ground work. So from there, 4 target areas established for restoration. Each area was assessed for future management needs, including protecting high quality Ozark-St and also utilizing mechanical and cultural methods to release trees from competition. And I think we already started one of those projects. Going back to Leslie's talk earlier, she was talking about that one tree that was shaded in. So we're finding some of these key species that shaded in, and we're trying to figure out the best way we can manipulate that light component, take the canopy and reduce it. And definitely more work to come, more good news to come, because I'm always glass half empty, but my wife will never say that. But seriously, more work to come. We've been doing all this work on the magazine for those 4 target areas. These little bullet gunshots right here, all across the Ozark-St. Francis National Forest, those are in our element of occurrence in the database. I'm kind of geeky about databases too. I went in and searched everywhere for the last 2 decades that somebody made an observation where they saw Ozark-St. on our forest as they inventoried the forest. Now we have to ground truth that, and we need to look back at that data with a fine-tooth comb, because some folks could have typed it in error, and it could have been some other species. But I'm pretty sure a lot of that is Ozark-St. But I'm also pretty sure, going back to what Leslie said, is that probably 90% of that is blighted. So we got it, but it gives us an idea of where to seek out areas to find healthy trees amidst all those blighted trees, to find healthy genetics and start crossing in other forests, or the ranger dishes throughout our own forest. So as we build our capacity, as we look to scale out, as the Forest Service look to figure out how we can help you guys do these plots or check these areas, then we can start covering more ground. And so I ended with just the unique thing about this organization, and then just this work, is that it's the word of mouth success story. Future generation can see with their eyes. So even if we can't see a mature Ozark-St. within the next 5 years, you know, your kids and your grandkids could, and they'd be eating chestnuts for Thanksgiving. You know? Instead of those genetically modified pecans. I'm joking out. I think that's it.
wait. No, we don't want you to come in. Well, I can't stop you. Oh, it's the blight. Oh, you made it in here.
Chinquapin somewhere close by. Oh, I love Chinquapin.
Not on the Cherokee Nation too. No.
Oh my goodness. I just can't help myself. They're so tasty. So, if you don't mind, I might just make myself at home.
Well, that's being spread everywhere. Oh my gosh. I wasn't planning on this, I'm sorry. Oh, it's going everywhere. Oh man, alive. Oh no.
That's too funny.
Well, it looks like we're going to have to coexist with it. We can't get rid of it. So there you go. Okay, that was an improv. And if we can get her back in here again. Come on back in. Okay, and I don't know, are you Jennifer?
I am Jennifer.
Okay, got it right. What a thunderbolt. Okay. This is really good though. This is some of the stuff they've done. One of the 9 characters they do in the children's activity room, family activity room. And we need to thank these folks for what they have done today. I can't believe the creativity. It was just incredible. Thank you again.
Thank you for having us.
Tell
It's been
Julie
a pleasure.
Bean thank you as well.
I will do that. Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot. Appreciate it.
Bye, Blight.
What now?
Can I do the,
Bye, Blight.
can I do the tea?
What?
The tea, can I do it?
Yeah, go ahead. Sure. Please.
All right, so how many of you in here participated in the tea test? All right, do you want to know the results?
Yeah.
Do you want to know what the difference was?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll tell you the difference first. A were Chinquapin leaves that were harvested in May. B were Chinquapin leaves that were harvested in August. And when it comes to tea, usually you want to get this while it tastes good, there's active growth. There are lots of plants where people who advise you on making teas will say you can collect all the way up until July 1st. Blackberry leaf tea is an example of that because after July 1 it starts getting bitter as the leaf accumulates tannins. So I didn't have any idea whether this was going to go one way or the other, but I thought, well, let's just let the group decide. So you all voted, and here's the results. 3 of you said they taste the same. 19 of you chose B, and 35 of you chose A.
Yay!
Now, what's interesting is some of you gave me comments about this was this was something I would choose to drink with a meal, or this was much more bitter. And I realized at that point as a scientist, I need some more of that. So if you want to talk to me later about why you voted the way you did, I'm not going to change the results. But I am interested in what you thought. So thank you very much for participating in that. And those were done. It's very simple. You pull the leaves off, you dry them, you put them in a cloth bag, and you just crumble them up with your hands. And then you scoop that out, put it into a coffee filter, tie it off, make your tea. Very simple. Steve?
You know, I don't know if y'all realize what just happened here. AJ saw a thing that we needed to know. And just like that, he took care of it. And here, before the meeting's over with, we got the results of an experiment, taste test. So this is really, really quick. No turnaround, no levels of management to go through. We got it done. We got her done. So this is really good. This is what we're all about. This is awesome. Okay. And with Lorenzo, with the U.S. Forest Service, this is a huge thing. Leslie put a lot more time into that than I did. And she was gone at one point, I think 16 or 17 days from home. She actually brought her brother Sam back to us because he got tired, he was gone so long, and then she went back and worked again. It just takes a lot of dedicated work to actually do this. And so I thank Leslie for all the research she's done. And she identified out of these hundreds of different Chinquapins on Mount Magazine, she identified some of the very best of the best. And we've got a place that we narrowed it down to, and I can't tell you the name of it. It's not South Pointer, But anyhow, you can't find that on the map anywhere. And so that's where the pictures came from about where we're doing the restoration at. We have the best of the best samples to work with. And I just think that's great. So thank you, Lorenzo, for doing all that. And hopefully your wife liked the presentation. So.